Goo Lagoon. Merry Christmas. A time for family, joy, and goats, riots, and 12 days of drunken chaos. Let's unwrap the surprisingly strange and weird history of Christmas. Our story begins long before Jesus, in ancient Rome, with a little festival called Saturnalia. It was supposed to honor the god Saturn, but realistically, it was a week-long December free-for-all where Romans basically just got blackout drunk. They'd even appoint a Lord of Misrule. This dude was basically some random guy chosen to be the temporary king of chaos. During Saturnalia, this guy got to boss everyone around, flip social roles, and issue the dumbest commands imaginable. The idea was that for 1 week, society was turned completely upside down. For example, slaves talked back, masters had to serve the drinks, and the Lord of Misrule basically ran the place like a sleep-deprived camp counselor. So you'd get crazy orders like, everyone, juggle goats! And yes, historians really do describe Saturnalia as a blur of depravity, gambling, and non-stop feasting. Meanwhile, in Scandinavia, folks were celebrating Yule, a feast so big you'd literally burn a giant log for 12 days straight. The log wasn't just fuel though, it was a symbol of the sun's return, a promise that the long dark nights of winter wouldn't last forever. If your log burned out early, it basically meant bad luck. They also had the Yule goat, one of the stranger holiday mascots. Its origins go all the way back to Norse mythology, where Thor's chariot was pulled by magical goats. Over time, the Yule goat became a Christmas trickster, sometimes delivering gifts, sometimes demanding them, and sometimes just barging into parties causing absolute chaos. In any case, the Yule goat has muscled its way into the Christmas lore, and it's here to stay. Fast forward a few centuries, and Christianity is catching on. But the big question was, when do we throw Jesus' birthday party? The Bible doesn't actually give a date, so church leaders in the 4th century were like, let's go with December 25th. People are already partying anyway. In other words, they crashed the world's rowdiest block parties and said, this is ours now, and no more juggling goats unless it's for Jesus. As the holidays merged with older traditions, things got creative. Medieval nativity plays threw in all kinds of animals that were definitely not in Bethlehem. And yes, our friend the Yule goat made himself very comfortable in the Christmas story. Just don't check the Bible on that one. By the Middle Ages, Christmas was less about quiet church services and more about eating, drinking, and occasionally threatening your neighbors with festive mob justice. It was called wassailing. You'd sing for food and drink, but if they didn't give you any, let's just say your lawn ornaments weren't safe. In the Middle Ages, Christmas was basically Mardi Gras in the snow, and your boss was legally required to let you party. To manage the chaos, communities still picked the Lord of Misrule, funny enough, but now the job involved leading mobs of wassailers. These were peasants who'd show up at rich people's houses demanding food and ale. And if the rich said no, things could escalate into what historians politely describe as rowdy behavior. Think medieval Yelp reviews, but with more cabbage throwing. This era was a rare time when the classes actually mixed. Nobles and peasants feasted together, which must have been weird because 5 minutes earlier the peasants were yelling insults at them through a window. Eventually though, some people decided this was all way too much fun. Enter the Puritans, who believed Christmas was unbiblical, pagan, and mostly an excuse for people to get wasted. In the 1600s, they banned Christmas outright in parts of England and colonial America. No feasting, no parties, no decorations, just work. After a few centuries of drunken riots and Puritan killjoys, the 1800s rolled in, and Christmas got a major PR makeover. Victorian England decided Christmas should be wholesome again, thanks in large part to Charles Dickens. His book, A Christmas Carol, defined the holiday, turning it from a season of chaos into a moral event about kindness, charity, and remembering poor people exist. This era also gave us the indoor Christmas tree, imported from Germany and popularized by the royal family. The idea was that Christmas should move indoors, away from the streets and into the home. Gifts stopped being something you demanded from strangers and became something you carefully placed under a tree, ideally without threatening anyone. By the end of the century, Christmas was a cozy, family-centered holiday focused on children, charity, and staying inside where everyone could be supervised, which historically speaking is how traditions survive. Now let's talk about Santa Claus. He started as St. Nicholas, a real 4th century Greek bishop from the Eastern Roman world, known for secretly giving money to the poor and protecting children. His story spread across Europe, where he slowly transformed from a religious saint to a folk character tied to winter gift-giving. In the Netherlands, he evolved into Sinterklaas, a winter gift-bringer who showed up every December. Dutch settlers then carried Sinterklaas with them to America, where he got his name streamlined eventually. Then, In 1823, Clement Clark Moore's poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," basically finalized the Santa blueprint. Reindeer, the chimney, and the idea that this guy was just a little jolly home invading elf. But it was actually Coca-Cola in the 1930s that locked in that red suit and the version of Santa we all recognize today. You can thank soda marketing for why it doesn't show up in blue or green. Of course, Christmas looks very different depending on where you go in the world. In Japan, for example, Christmas wasn't a traditional holiday, which meant there was no standard Christmas meal. So in the 1970s, a KFC marketing campaign filled the gap, and now Christmas dinner means literal buckets of fried chicken. However, when we look into Catalonia, Spain, Christmas includes Tio de Nadal, a smiling log that kids beat with sticks while singing songs until it poops out candy and gifts. Yes, I said poops out candy and gifts. That's literally what they call it. This is the real tradition, and Spain signed off on it. Meanwhile, in Iceland, Christmas folklore gave us the Yule cat, a monster said to eat children who didn't have new clothes for Christmas. The idea was simple. If you were too lazy to help spin the wool and make new winter clothing, the cat would get you. All of which proves that Christmas isn't just one holiday. It's an unholy mashup of ancient festivals, religious traditions, corporate mascots, and at least one very determined goat. So next time you're sipping hot cocoa by the fire, remember, you're part of a tradition that once involved riots, gambling, and barnyard animals in your living room. Thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll be making more content like this in the future.